Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Sylvia Maharani. Student ID is 22019026. I will present by my mini research result with the title is Language Chance of Minang Student Who Major in English Literature. First is introduction. It is background of study. Language is a system of communication that consists of a set of symbols, such as words, gestures, or sounds, and rules, such as grammar and syntax, used for conveying meaning between individuals or groups. I took this research with a background where I saw around me there were language changes. The object of this research is my friend, who is also a native Minangkabau, who is also a student majoring in English literature. Language change as a concept and as a subject of linguistic inquiry is often considered as something separate from language studies in general. However, recent research on this topic to highlight the continuous nature of change and emphasize that synchronic and diachronic views of change can be brought together, thus providing a panchronic perspective that can demonstrate the relevance of small changes. Next is about problem of formulation. There are three problems of formulation in this mini research. The first, what is language change? What language change types are? And the last, how the development of language change. The first, language change. According Mikhail said, language change is social mediated in two important ways. For example, my father never used the Minangkabau's word piring referring to a plate. Instead, he always said cipia. There is a change in the language received between that spoken by the parents and that often used by the child. In sociolinguistics, language change refers to alternation in language usage that occur within a speech community over time. Unlike purely linguistic explanation of language change, sociolinguistics examines how social factors such as demographic, social status, cultural influences, and group dynamic contribute to language variation and change. Next is about language change types. There are 4 language change types in this mini research. The first, sound change. Sound change, this refers to the changes in the sounds of a language that affect the pronunciation of words. Specifically, this relates to any changes in the phonological and phonetic structure of the language. 2. Lexical changes. This refers to the changes in a language vocabulary which concern the word in a language. 3. Semantic changes. Semantic changes refers to changes in the meaning words over time. 4. Syntactic changes. This refers to changes in the structure of syntax in a language. Syntax refers to the ways words come together to form sentences, clauses, and phrases. And the next, development of language changes. Linguistics is study about language. Language always changes and develops either internally or externally. They can examine historical and sociolinguistically. Language change is often brought about by contact between speakers of different languages or dialects rather than by variation internal to a given speech community. Such changes are said to be due to internal causes. Internal language changes is occur the behavior of speakers in their everyday lives to adjust to each other and followed by a tendency to innovate in group or people who are already familiar. Next is about object study. In here, I provide 4 questions to answer the respondents. Question number 1, what does the study of English literature affect the use of Minang language in the student who take the major? 2, is there a difference in Minang language used between students who majored in English literature and those who did not? 3, is there any change in vocabulary or sentence structure of Minang language among those who interact more intensely with English? 4, how do factors such as social environment, media, and technology play a role in Minang language change among individuals who majored in English literature? Object study, Minang student who majored in English literature. In this mini research, I dosed the title in language changes of Minang student who major in English literature. In this study, it is hoped that it can provide information on how Minang students make language changes from their native language, Minangkabau, with the major they take, namely English. We're unconsciously majoring in English and can certainly make the decline in the use of the Minang language itself. From the results of my observation and interviews, view the respondent I choose, they made language change due to many factors. But what made me interested in discussing it was that they answered because of the major that they took. They answered that they had to make language changes because English literature majors require a lot of practice to be fluent, so they had to change their language from the Minang language they use daily to English. Of the 4 questions, I only provide the questions option I agree and strongly agree. And here you can see that the most answer were answered strongly agree to questions number 4, and for the other 3 questions, the answer was just agree. Next, analysis data. There are 5 analysis data. Number 1, analysis of home language comprehension. This involves collecting data on the use of Minang in variation communication contexts, including daily conversation, interaction with family, peer, and the local community. 2, analyzing language preference in communication. This involves collecting data on what language they choose to use in various communication contexts, such as with peer, family, on campus, or in social media use. 3, analyzing language use in academic context. Research can also analyze language use in academic context, specifically in the study of English literature. This involves collecting data on the use of Minang, Indonesian, and English in class discussion, writing, assignment, and academic presentation. 4, analysis of environmental influence on language changes. This involves collecting data on the influence of the environmental, such as peer influence, social media use, and exposure to English in a campus setting on Minang student language use preferences. And the last, language identity analysis. The researchers will also analyze how changes in the language use affect Minang students' language identity. This involves collecting data on how they identify themselves in terms of language, whether as Minang, Indonesian, or English speakers. And the last is about conclusion. Of this study highlight the complexity of language changes in individual social and cultures context. Such changes not only include the use of vocabulary and sentence structure, but also reflect the identity and experiences of an individual in interaction with their environment. The conclusion of this, but also reflecting the identity and experiences of individual and interaction. Okay, that's all from me. If you want to give questions, you can do it. Thank you for your attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.